Hey, brother, welcome back to the 7 Day Challenge. We are on day 3. Let's recap real quick before we dive into today's idea. Day 1, we talked about the idea that with God, all things are possible, but with us, it's way beyond our scope of experience and ability to fix this thing. And yet, with God, all things are possible. Day 2, we talked about the reality that he wants this thing just as much as you and I do, and that he is fighting for our marriage. That his intent has always been permanency, that he wants this thing and he's fighting with you. So he's in your corner. Today, the idea that I would want to leave with you is that the best strategy is his strategy. I got to thinking about, the hundreds of men that we will end up serving here at the Restoration Project and how unique all of our stories are. Each one of us men have a different life experience, different men that modeled what marriage even looks like. And sometimes that was healthy and sometimes it wasn't. Different pain points and traumas and just different belief systems. When you think about our wives and their stories, their personalities, and how unique they all are, and their traumas and their previous relationships and the things that were modeled for them and what marriage should look like. Um, it, it just it just reminds me that every one of our marriages is going to require a unique strategy. But here's what I believe, that God knows us intimately and knows exactly what we need, and He's willing to release that strategy to us. And so it reminded me of the story in John chapter 2. It's Jesus's first miracle. And at this time, he's not super famous. He's not really come on the scene yet. And he finds himself at a wedding feast with his friends. We know that his mother is there, and they run out of wine. The host family runs out of wine. That was a big deal back then. I would venture to say that most marriages back then, they were multi-day affairs, and so to run out of wine for your guests was a big deal. Jesus's mother comes to him with this problem and is like, Jesus, they have run out of wine. And he says, Mom, it's not my time to go public with my ministry. And we don't know this, but I almost believe that Mary just winked at him and said, come on, can you do something for this family? And this is what she said, and I just absolutely love this line in John 2, verse 5. And it says, Jesus' mother said to the servants that were there at the wedding feast, do whatever he tells you. Do whatever he tells you. Um, and I think that's what Jesus is um, sharing with you today, sharing with me today, is do whatever I ask you to do. I have a strategy. I'm going to tell you that strategy. Just do whatever I tell you to do. And when you look at the wedding feast, the strategy was really, really simple. Jesus told the servants, go get 6 large pots and fill them with water and bring them back to me. And in doing so, the water turned to wine, and they were able to divvy out that wine. And it was a wine that would eventually be bragged upon, that it was the finest of wines. And but it came from a simple act of obedience. And so the message for you today is that the best strategy is the strategy of Jesus. And I believe he wants to release that to you. And it may be something simple like, hey, I want you to pray for your wife in this specific way, or I need you to forgive your wife of this, or I need you to ask for forgiveness for something that you did here, or I want you to hold her hand, or I want you to schedule date nights, or I want you, whatever it is. I don't think it's going to be super complicated, but whatever he asks us to do, we want to do it. And a couple of years ago, I've been forthcoming with my wife, and I were in really bad place and on the verge of divorce. And I knew that God wanted to restore our marriage, but I didn't know how. And in those moments, fear and anxiety kind of creep in. And this prayer or this declaration came to me. I believe the Lord gave it to me, and I would declare it many times a day, and still do with other things in my life. But I want to share it with you, and it's this: I will not fear, but give you my ear and trust that you'll make it clear. So it's this declaration that, Lord, I know that you're involved. I know that you care about my marriage, and I'm not gonna fear. I'm not gonna walk in anxiety about this. What I am gonna do is I'm gonna give you my ear, and I'm gonna listen for the strategy that you will release. I'm gonna trust that you'll make it clear to me, and that you'll make it simple enough that I can give you my yes. And so that's my encouragement to you today, is that the best strategy is his strategy. I believe that as you walk with him, he wants to break it down for you in such a way that you can implement that, and that you can, like those servants did, go get those large jars of water and bring them back to me. And in doing so, that unlocked a miracle. And I believe that your simple act of obedience in doing what Jesus tells you to do is going to unlock miracles that will bring breakthrough in your marriage. So I hope that was encouraging to you today. I want to give you a couple of things, action items that you can do today. So the first one is, I want you to read and memorize and just begin to declare that prayer that I just shared with you. And I'll share it with you one more time so you can write this thing down. I would encourage you, write it in your journal, write it on your mirror, uh, put it places that you'll see on a regular basis, and really commit it to memory. But I will not fear, but give you my ear and trust that you'll make it clear. So that's the first thing that I would have you to do. The second thing is, I want you to actually get your phone, and I want you to, when we're done, I want you to set the timer for 3 minutes, a 3 minute countdown. And we're just going to get alone with the Lord, and we're going to get quiet with the Lord, and we're going to allow him to speak. And sometimes, as I work with people, they get weirded out about this concept of God speaking, because they're like, I've never heard God speak, and we're expecting an audible voice, and like this Morgan Freeman voice from heaven. And though God can do that, he's done that. I've walked with the Lord for 40 years. I've never heard the audible voice of God, but he speaks to me every single day. And so what we're going to encourage you to do is put the timer on for 3 minutes, and then just be quiet and listen to the Lord. And what his voice often sounds like is your own voice. And it will sometimes be a thought or an idea, or it will be a picture or a phrase, or it will be someone's image comes to your mind, or just a knowing that, hey, I should do this. Or so just believe that he wants to speak, and don't overcomplicate it. So I'm going to ask you, and do not skip this part, but put 3 minutes on the clock and get still before the Lord, and allow him to speak to you. And then the last thing I'd ask you to do today is just jump on the school community and encourage one of your brothers, like one of their comments, engage in conversation with them. We have a Q&A section on there. Drop a question. I'd love to either roll that into one of our live Q&A calls, or just answer it on the school group. I love questions. So do all three of those things. Begin to memorize that prayer. Set a timer for 3 minutes, and listen for strategy from heaven. And then I want you to jump into the school community and encourage one of your brothers, and allow them to encourage you and to get to know you. So that's day 3. I will see you tomorrow.